My grandfather's fishing rod went flying as two police officers grabbed his arms and started dragging him away from Highland Lake. "You're trespassing on private property, sir," one shouted. Grandpa, 78, half-deaf, and full of quiet patience, looked more confused than scared. His tackle box clattered open, lures scattering like spilled coins. The HOA had finally snapped. For 20 years, Grandpa Thaddeus had fished this same dock every Tuesday, rain or shine. It was his sacred routine: folding chair, thermos of coffee, and that steady stillness that turns time syrup slow. But recently, Highland Estates HOA had started calling the lake private. They stuck warning signs everywhere, threatened fines, even called the cops. I was inside debugging code when the sirens wailed. I ran out and saw them twisting his arm over a citation labeled Lot 212A. My family's deed, filed long before half these houses existed, said Lot 212. Just one missing letter, but that single typo looked like a gold vein in a coal mine. I jogged down with the leather portfolio that held every document our family had guarded since '96. Officers weighed and cross-examined the deed. Wade's brows knit. "These don't match up perfectly. We won't be issuing any citation today." They left, politely unwilling to arrest a sweet old man who'd just been collecting memories on the lakeshore. As the patrol car lights faded, Grandpa sighed. "Funny thing, Silas," he said, folding that squeaky chair. "In all these years, I've never seen anyone from the HOA actually walk the boundary lines." I smiled, but something gnawed at me. Why had they acted now? If they never checked before, why chase an old man off his own dock today? The answer, I suspected, hid somewhere in decades-old county paperwork that only bureaucrats ever read. That tiny citation, 212A instead of 212, had cracked open a door to something far bigger than fishing rights. The next morning, I swapped my hoodie for a collared shirt and drove to the county reporter's office. The place smelled like burnt coffee and forgotten secrets. Clerk Maggie Henderson showed me how to file a records request. "Most folks don't dig this deep," she warned, stamping the form with official finality. A week later, the old plat map arrived, and it changed everything. Highland Lake wasn't private at all. It was listed as public access, ringed by a 30-foot easement for community use. That easement had never been legally removed. The HOA had simply ignored it. When I compared that map to the HOA's current survey, the puzzle pieces tilted into focus. Lot 212A, their private property, didn't even exist in county records. They'd invented a fake parcel to justify ownership they never had. That night, I spread the documents across our dining table while Grandpa quietly tied new fishing hooks. "So," he muttered, "they kicked me off public land, called the cops, and used fake paperwork to do it?" I nodded. He chuckled. "Reminds me of my old job: fix one machine, find 3 more broken." The following day, the HOA proved him right. We got 3 violation letters in 24 hours, lawn height too long, garbage can placement inconsistent, and a bird feeder non-compliant with community standards. Translation: they were retaliating. So I checked their corporate filings, just to make sure they were legally allowed to harass us. Turns out, they weren't. The HOA's corporate charter had expired months ago, they'd forgotten to renew it. Without that, any citation they issued was as real as monopoly money. When I called the state office to confirm, the clerk on the phone laughed. "Yeah, they can't legally issue fines right now." Surprise. That night, Grandpa sat beside me, sipping tea. "They've been bullying residents with ghost laws," he said. "Time we hook something bigger than a trout." I grinned. He might have been 78, but he smelled blood in the water. The harder I pulled at the thread, the faster the sweater came apart. While the HOA ticketed bird feeders, I was uncovering something that smelled like full-blown fraud. Their insurance policy, leaked by a nervous employee, listed Highland Lake as private community Lake 212A, 4.7 acres. The same imaginary lot. They had been paying and filing claims on a property that legally belonged to the public. If that was true, it wasn't a neighborhood dispute anymore, it was insurance fraud. And Virginia doesn't treat that lightly. Then came a call from Detective Lisa Park, quiet voice, sharper questions. "Mr. Crawford, you've uncovered something significant. We're investigating possible misrepresentation. Keep your records safe." Meanwhile, the HOA doubled down. They filed wellness check reports against Grandpa, telling police he looked confused while fishing. The same officers returned, visibly embarrassed, and apologized. Grandpa thanked them kindly, then whispered to me, "These folks are running scared." By week's end, Detective Park confirmed it. The HOA's fraudulent lot number matched multiple false insurance claims totaling nearly $100,000. My hunch had snared actual crimes. We compiled everything: expired charter, fake parcel, false insurance, retaliatory fines, into one monstrous binder. It looked like a legal hydra. At the next HOA meeting, residents expecting another bland agenda got a lightning bolt instead. I stood, introduced myself, and laid out the evidence. Midway through my explanation, the board president's hand trembled on her microphone. The room shifted from polite silence to horrified murmurs as maps and screenshots appeared on the projector. Their faces said it all. They weren't caught off guard, they were cornered. When I finished, a wiry woman from the back, Mrs. Patterson, said aloud what everyone was thinking: "Are you telling us they've been charging us for fake property?" "Yes," I said. "And filing insurance claims for it, too." The room erupted. Cameras flashed, neighbors whispered, and the board president looked ready to molt under the fluorescent lights. From that night on, Highland Estates stopped being a quiet suburb. It became a civil battlefield. Within days, 3 board members resigned. The local paper ran front-page headlines: HOA fraud probe at Highland Estates. My inbox overflowed with messages from curious neighbors, and a very polite federal investigator. By Friday, the HOA's insurer froze their coverage. The county suspended their authority over Highland Lake entirely. Grandpa was fishing again by sunset, his line slicing across golden water. "Told you the truth floats," he said. Detective Park introduced me to a forensic accountant named Quinlan Hayes, a man who could probably find missing pennies from space. 2 days into reviewing the HOA's finances, he looked up and murmured, "Silas, they diverted $180,000 from community reserves. And they filed over a dozen bogus insurance claims for accidents on public land." He was right. The HOA had turned fraudulent claims into a side hustle, payouts exceeding $200,000. The feds arrived soon after. My neighborly investigation had officially become a federal fraud case. To make things worse for the HOA, my motion sensor recorder picked up their secret meeting at the community center, yes, legally recorded from public property, where they discussed destroying old records. That audio later became Exhibit A in the investigation. When the next community meeting rolled around, turnout hit record numbers. Over 200 residents packed the hall while I displayed maps, emails, and ledgers on a big screen. The crowd's outrage erupted like fireworks when I played the recording of board members nervously debating how to cover their tracks. The final vote passed overwhelmingly: the entire HOA board was dissolved. Within weeks, prosecutors charged the former president and treasurer with fraud and conspiracy. Insurance companies pushed for restitution. Somewhere between the paperwork and panic, the total damages tallied, just over $3 million. What began as a shaky fishing citation had turned into the downfall of an entire corrupt association. Grandpa just smiled, cast his line again, and said, "Guess we reeled in the big one." The settlement hit headlines statewide: local family exposes HOA fraud, wins $3 million for community. But the story didn't end there. While signing final documents, Quinlan noticed something chilling. "Silas, these expense patterns match a dozen other HOAs, identical entries, same vendors, same fake lot codes. The culprit, one management firm, Pinnacle Property Solutions, running the same scam across multiple neighborhoods. Detective Park and the FBI expanded the case. Within months, 30-plus communities across 4 states came forward. Each had been victimized through forged property claims and hidden reserve transfers. That's how Grandpa's fishing trip turned into a statewide cleanup of HOA corruption. We helped residents recover misused funds, rewrite bylaws, and demand transparency. My living room transformed into a mini legal clinic piled with coffee cups, laptops, and people learning how to fight back. Grandpa became a bit of a legend. Kids would wave on their bikes when they saw him at the lake. He'd tip his hat and yell, "Remember, always read the fine print." 6 months later, Highland Lake was peaceful again. The new community board hosted open barbecues, shared audit reports, and let everyone fish freely. The old dock, once taped off by "private" signs, now had a hand-painted plank reading public trust. One warm evening, I watched Grandpa teaching Patricia Gonzalez's grandson how to cast a line, one of the first families we'd helped win back $43,000 from their own HOA. Their laughter echoed across the water, calm and steady. I realized our story wasn't really about property law or corruption. It was about ordinary people refusing to be silenced, about every neighbor who decides to tug on the thread when something doesn't feel right. A grandfather, a faulty citation, a stack of dusty deeds, and eventually, justice worth millions. I smiled as Grandpa reeled in a glimmering perch. "See, Silas," he said, eyes twinkling, "sometimes the smallest catch causes the biggest splash." Cue outro card. Camera pans across Highland Lake's golden shimmer.